Hello, guys. If you're here, thank you for getting in touch because obviously you've got in touch with me to send you over this link for my Teacher's Fitness Toolkit. Now, this is a free training. I am not going to take up hours of your time because I know you don't have much time, but I want you to come away from this training with lots of useful tips, lots of useful support that you can put in place in your day to day to help navigate the fitness world around teaching and to make it a little bit more realistic and to make it a little bit more sustainable for you. And I just want you to be able to take something from this free training that you can implement and put into your lifestyle because I just know how chaotic and crazy these things can be when we are teaching. So we're going to dive right into it today. I'm going to introduce myself in a minute, but before we do that, I want to explain exactly what you're going to get out of this training. So this training is completely free of charge, like I said. It's just going to be a quick whistle-stop tour for the next 10-15 minutes. What I did as a teacher myself to help me implement these things and strategies to still see results in the fitness world around teaching. We know how crazy teaching can be. I know how long hours you are working. I know how exhausted you can feel. So this is going to show you how to implement a plan in the most effective way around your busy career so that you are not compromising your career, you're not compromising your social life, but you're still seeing those A-class results in your health and fitness. It's going to give you the steps to be able to focus on yourself, sort of away from the classroom. And we're going to have a chat around how that can have an impact in the classroom too, because I think it's both of them are so important, and it's so important to think about those holistically as a two. So before we dive in, I just want to introduce myself and who I am. So I'm Christy Morris. I am a primary school teacher. Well, I'm actually a personal trainer now. So I run my own online business for online coaching. I work with ladies all over. And I was a teacher before I did this. So I was a primary school teacher for 6 years, as you can tell from my jazzy outfit over here. World Book Day at its best. I was a primary school teacher for 6 years. I worked in year five for 3 years and year six for 3 years. And during that time, I very much knew how teaching was, and I completely understand the stresses and pressures of it. It's like a whirlwind. It's often like a wave. The stresses go like this, go like this, go like this, go like this. And I completely get how overwhelming it can feel at times. So when I came out of this space, I really had that desire and passion to share my story and help other teachers at the same time because at the end of the day, it's hard and we want to be able to put ourselves first around the classroom. So I'm just going to pause that because that's noisy. I didn't even realize that was a video. Um, when we are in our teaching world, I completely know how hard you want to work. And the thing is, the job title is sort of like endless, isn't it? You're given no set hours. You can spend as much time as what you want on things. And when we put time into things like displays, planning, marking books, whatever that might be, we can quite often end up staying very late at work, starting in very early mornings to literally just try and get everything done. The day absolutely flies in the teaching world. So I completely appreciate that. And it's so hard to fit everything inside of the day. So I completely know how much you are struggling. And by the end of the day, you're often left with feeling completely exhausted. It is such a rewarding job with the children, and I absolutely loved being with the children, but it is so hard to build something in for yourself outside of teaching because you are running on coffee, you're running on caffeine, you're running on empty because you just don't know how to navigate this world and how to build everything into your health and fitness around it because it takes over your life and it's so easily done. I have been there. And the problem is with my teaching, and this is just a bit about my story. When I started off, obviously, absolutely loved it. I was so passionate about helping the children. The school that I worked at was in a very deprived area, and I was so passionate about helping those children because I fully appreciated they had nothing. But because they had nothing, I wanted to make the experience so special for them. And because of that, like I was very much putting myself to the bottom of the pile. This was me when I graduated from university, and I had a passion. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew where I wanted to go with it. But I didn't realize quite how hard that journey was. And on the road, I encountered lots of hardships with my teaching, lots of good times, lots of fun times, and yes, lots of hardships as well. And I'm sure you guys can fully appreciate that. The one on the bottom left, this one down here, is probably the one that hit home the most. I suffered with incredibly severe IBS. This was very early on in my teaching career, stress induced. My digestion was out of whack. I was in pain every single day. It got to the point, one of my worst days was I remember I had to go home early from work in agony and get rushed into the doctors because I literally couldn't stand up at one point. And it was down to IBS and it was down to having a flare up, and all of these things were down to stress and just my gut health being incredibly poor because of the constant adrenaline, the constant go that the job brings with it. And training as a teacher, as I was at the time, is just the hardest thing in the world. I wasn't looking after myself. Throughout the years, there's been many other dramas. These are some of them. Numerous sort of inflammation around my eyes. This kept coming back time and time again. No idea where it came from, but it's being run down. Stress is an immune response. Again, my face covered in spots, kept getting flare-ups of spots all over. Again, it's an immune response. Because I was just feeling so drained and run down, so stressed out as well. Top corner, probably top middle, sorry, probably the most common symptom of mine at the time. I don't know what it was. I loved my job, but every single Sunday I felt like this. And I think it was because I would knew that I would be starting that roller coaster of a week again, where I'd literally be going go, 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 all the way to the weekend with absolutely no time for myself. And that's how it felt very much for me when I was in that teaching journey. I used to remember like opening the classroom door to let the kids in the morning, and I'd be like, right, breathe, here we go, we're on the roller coaster. And it felt like I was literally on a roller coaster till the end of the day, and then you could finally stop. And working at that intensity all the time, it's just not good for you unless you are putting something in, something ad hoc to try and sort of counterbalance that a little bit, because it is such a hard job. There is no other job in the world where you are literally like this, like a little hamster on a treadmill all the time. So you need to make sure you're looking after yourself, otherwise you will hit burnout. My mental health wasn't great at times. This is probably why I was crying a lot. I would get incredibly high anxiety a lot as well. I just like we used to come and go through different weeks, and yeah, I don't know. The whole process of it was very, very tricky. And looking back on it, I know how hard it can be. And I think the sad thing is, a lot of teachers feel the same. It wasn't until my last year of teaching where I really understood that I needed to start looking after myself around teaching. And that's exactly what I did. So I started to leave work a little bit earlier. I started to get in a little bit later if I was training in the morning. I made sure I had a training plan that I stuck to. I made sure that I'd prepped my food. I started eating well. I started resting more. I started leaving jobs that didn't necessarily need that much work. And it didn't, and do you know, looking at that and what I'm saying, it looks like I'm pulling away from the job, which I very much was, but it looks like I was doing it to be selfish. But do you know what actually happened from there is that in those lessons, I showed up as a 100% better teacher. I was more energized to teach the children. When you're more energized and you want to be there, the children want to be there with you. When you're more energized and you can give more to your lessons, the children are just more motivated to get on with it and do a good job. And at the end of the day, I really learned how to build all these things in that I was doing after school into my day, because I had the energy to do so. During lessons, I would literally do everything and then ping it up onto the walls, do working walls like that, rather than think about my displays afterwards. I've been running around marking books during the lesson, giving live feedback to the children, which is actually better than sitting and marking a ton of books at the end of the day anyway. And I would get it all done in the lessons because my energy was just good and I didn't dread it. I felt good because I knew I was leaving at 4:15 to go and get my gym session in. And then I started to look at teaching as a beautiful job, because I was like, actually, I've got the freedom and flexibility to leave at 3:45 if I want to. Yes, I might have to do an hour in the evening, but I can get to the gym before it gets busy. Or if I want to, I can go in the morning and turn up at 8:15. And I knew I could do that because it's not like you've got a rigid 9 till 5. You can be a little bit more flexible. And I learned that I didn't have to get in at 7:15. That was me telling myself that I had to get in at 7:15. I didn't have to work through my lunch. That was me telling myself I had to work through my lunch. And what I found was when I was more rested, the time that I was actually working and the time with the children, my productivity was so much higher. In the midst of all of this, I did my personal training qualifications and I started to build this community, which I didn't really realize at the time would turn into my career, but it did, because I was sharing my journey, I was sharing what I was doing. And again, I guess helping others like you guys along the way realize that it's good to put yourself first around teaching. In fact, I would actually argue it's a necessity. So these are some of the teachers that I've worked with who have done exactly the same, and these are their transformations. This is Victoria. She was an EYFS teacher other end of the year to me. But she lost 6 kg in 12 weeks. And as you can see, like, her transformations in her pictures were just incredible. She threw herself into the nutrition. She really prioritized prepping her food. She prioritized getting her workouts in. She was training 5 times a week here, which is not, you don't have to do it, but she was loving it. And again, just like me, she'd found that routine where she could put her all into her classroom time when she was there, her 100%, rather than showing up at 40%, because she had the time to do so and the energy to do so. And then she could leave leave and get her workout in, or she could leave and make a nice dinner, go on a walk, whatever that might be. And I think the results just show of how amazing she looks here as well. This is Dominica. She was working in year 4 at the time when we worked together. Again, incredible transformations. This was just before the summer holiday. She wanted to feel better and feel more confident for her holidays. She loved holidays. She likes going away every single half term. Can't fault her. But she wanted to feel more confident in a bikini, and that's exactly what we worked on and exactly what we did. So this is her transformation. She lost 5 kg in the 12 weeks. Again, she was teaching full time during this time. We were really trying to navigate this space and make sure she had time for her around her job, and she managed to build it in and she managed to find that balance. It's a bit of a story of Dominica as well, and I think a lot of teachers fall into this trap. You think just not eating is the clue, and she was, when she started with me, eating 1,300 calories. We built her calories up to 1,900 by the end of the program, and she was still losing weight. She was eating more food and losing weight. So you tell me how that correlates, but it does when you do it properly. Finally, this is Stacey. She works in a SEND school. I'm still working with Stacey now. She's been working with me for around a year. We've been through lots of different journeys. We've just finished a bulk actually, and now she's going into a cut process. But this was at her end of her cut last year, and at the end of a reverse diet. So again, we were increasing her calories. We then have the reason that we did a bit of a bulk session after that is because we wanted to build her calories back up again and support her metabolism. But basically, yeah, again, a very busy career, and it shows how sustainable this can be because she has been doing this for a year now. We've been working together for a year, and just looking at her results is absolutely incredible. And where she's come from and where she's going is absolutely amazing. And I just couldn't be prouder of her. She's just a fantastic person, and I'm so proud of where she's coming from and what she does. So, in terms of teaching, these are some of the main. This is Neve, by the way, 10 kg down, as you can see, 16 weeks her journey. The mistakes you're making in schools and what teachers tend to do is kind of they come into these 5 areas, I think. And these were the mistakes I was making and the mistakes when I've worked with teachers that they were making as well. And they are very common mistakes. So number 1 is putting the children first. Sounds controversial, doesn't it? We're teachers. Surely it's our job to put the children first. No, you cannot. Have you ever heard of that oxygen mask like saying where you're on the airplane and they're always like, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help anyone else? Yes, exactly. You cannot look after 30 little humans if you are not looking after yourself and putting yourself first. You need to have that basic of needs, that basis of needs before you can plug your energy into anybody else and before you can do that effectively. So stop thinking the children need to come first all the time, because you need to come first to be able to do a good job and show up for those children. I am such a firm believer of that. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're doing things the wrong way around. And if anybody asks you, or if you say that to anybody and they question you, you go back with that argument, because putting yourself first is so important. Because otherwise you cannot show up as that best teacher in the classroom. You can't show up with energy. You can't show up with enthusiasm, and you start to resent the job. Early starts and late nights, I get it, and it comes in waves. I completely get it. Assessment period, you're going to be working longer hours. It can't be helped sometimes. It happens. The week before half term, however, you're probably leaving at 4 o'clock every day. It happens, okay? It comes in swings and roundabouts. Early starts and late nights are part of the job. It's what happens. It's what we're expected to do. Ofsted are coming, you've got to stay late. It's what happens. However, it's about us understanding where we can pull from that time and where we can use that with flexibility, turning the narrative a little bit. I'm going to go into that in a minute. Planning every minute of the day except your own. Oh my goodness, this in teaching drove me insane. Every single minute of your day is scheduled to something. But when you've done that day, I used to have this like irrational thing of not wanting to plan any of my own free time, because I was like, I don't want to plan my time. Like, my time's so rigid throughout the week. When I'd go on holiday, I'd be like, I can't plan any of it. Like, I just want to go with the flow. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I didn't want to plan anything because I was like, I plan a week. Like, let me have some freedom. But actually, like, this is jeopardizing your goals, because if you've not planned in your workouts, you are not going to get them done, hun, because you are such a busy person being a teacher. And if you don't put them in your schedule and you keep pushing it back, then it's just not going to get done throughout the week. It needs to be planned in. You need to stick to it. Not enough sleep. Obviously, you're getting in late from work, you need to have your dinner, you need to do whatever. It's hard to get to bed by 10 o'clock. You've got to be up at 6 o'clock the next day. It's difficult. No switch off time. This is actually this is something I was very good at, but lots of people really struggle with this. Get Class Dojo off your freaking phone. You don't need it on there. No switch off time. It's the evening, you're on the sofa. Mrs. Brown, who's Jamie's mum from wherever does not need to be asking you if it's PE tomorrow, and you don't need to be responding at that time. Respond when you get into work tomorrow. It's no switch off time. And then when we don't switch off mentally, it just impacts everything. It impacts your sleep, it impacts your thought processes. It means that you feel like you've not physically switched off from the job, and it makes it very, very difficult. Okay, that mental switch off time is so important. So, to help you, and I'm going to explain a little bit around this. This is something I use inside my program with teachers. And something I'm going to share with you as a bit of a cheat sheet. So you've got it for free to take away. These are my 5 pillars in the teacher's toolkit that help you navigate health and fitness around your busy career. And obviously, because we're teachers, it falls under teach. So it goes into 5 main areas that we're going to go into now, so I can explain exactly how I can help you navigate your health and fitness around your busy career. So number 1 is T, which is time for you. If you are not doing the things, like I said earlier, if you are not putting that time in for you, you cannot show up as the best version of you in the classroom. However, I appreciate time coming limited sometimes, and there's some weeks when you're going to be working longer hours. So what do we do to still make sure we have that time? We've got to be realistic. Plan your workouts in so that you are not going to be set up for failure. Maybe it's only 3 workouts you can get in per week. That's absolutely fine. Maybe it's only 2. That's absolutely fine. Whatever it is, you're going to see progress, but you need to make sure it's realistic what you're planning in. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're failing every single week. Those workouts can't be 2 hours long. You've not got time for that. You need to be maximum spending an hour in the gym, maximum. And you need to have food that's easy to prep, ready to go. You can make a bulk of it at night, have it for lunch for the next couple of days, and not have to think or worry about it. It's these little hacks like that save us when the weeks are busier and save us when things are super stressful. It's assessment week. Get your food prepped, get your food ready. Make sure that you've got at least a couple of workouts in throughout the week and leave it at that. That's what you're going to do, but you are going to make sure you've got some time for you. But what you're also going to do is pull back when the workload is lighter. You're not going to spend time and waste time doing things you don't need to do. You're going to pull back when the workload is lighter, and you're going to take that time back, because that's the beauty of teaching. Some weeks you will work less hours, and you need to try and take back from that exactly when you can, because that's about you refueling, ready to go again. Energy over exhaustion. You're going to be feeling constantly fatigued if you are not allowing yourself to get enough sleep. You're constantly arriving at work at 7 a.m. You're constantly looking after the children in the classroom. You're standing around all day. It's normal to feel exhausted in this job. Every single week, there'd be a point in the week where I felt absolutely exhausted to the point where I couldn't bother to move off the sofa to make dinner. It is completely normal. It's an incredibly demanding job. What you don't want to fall into the trap of is binging on sweet things in the evening to try and boost your energy, because that's what your body will want you to do. When our energy levels are that low, our body just craves carbs and processed carbs and sugar, because it wants that immediate dopamine hit. It wants that immediate effect from the sweets that you've got in the cupboard. So some things that we can do: don't buy them, don't have them in if you can't resist it. Make sure that you've got a healthy meal that you're eating at the table. Stop eating on the sofa, because if you're eating on the sofa and then you associate that with food, you're going to just want to keep eating into the evening. Make sure you stay nice and hydrated with your water throughout the day. Make sure that you're getting as much sleep as you can. And if you are feeling like that, go to bed early and have an early night. It's okay. Optimize your sleep as much as you can. That's what's really, really important. And if you're feeling like this, 100% don't set your alarm for 5 a.m. the next day to go and get a workout in before work. Rest is always the priority above workouts. And if you need to miss a workout before because you need to rest, that is also absolutely okay. Energy over exhaustion, it's all about us gaining that energy back where we can. Active lifestyle integration. You have got limited time as a teacher, so how can we build those activities into our lifestyle without feeling like we need to go to the gym, spend 2 hours there, go and get a walk in the evening, and do all of this stuff and reach our goals? Okay, it's just not possible. You're going to get up and you're going to walk around as much as you can throughout the day. The beauty of teaching is you are not stuck to a desk all day. You have got so much opportunity to be up and about and out your seat all day, getting those steps in. When you're on your playground duty, walk around the playground, go and see different groups of children. When you're on lunch duty, go and do those things. When you're marking books in the classroom, like I said earlier, go around, whiz around the classroom, try to mark as many as you can, see how many steps you can get in just throughout the morning. Because if you're just sat there, working with one group or one table all day, or you're not really moving around when you're teaching, that activity level is going to be really low, and you will need to make up for it in the evening. So use the opportunities throughout the day that you get as a teacher to be able to do that. That's the beauty of that job. It's actually a very incredibly active job if you make it, but you can choose how active you make that job. And I always think and I've led a lot of teachers in schools as well. I've managed and mentored a lot of students. The more active you can be in that space, the better you are going to be as teaching, because it's more engaging, the children are going to be more interested in you, the children are going to listen better. And that just helps both sides of the coins. It helps you feel fitter and healthier. It helps you in terms of your classroom as well and what's going on in there. Consistency over chaos. Teaching career is chaotic. It's absolutely chaotic. So take a step back and think and allow it to be. What you need to remember is that consistency is the most important thing. So even if you've had a week where you've not got to the gym all week because it's been parents' evening, you've had meetings after school, you're just feeling rubbish, you're feeling lethargic, and all you want to do is grab a glass of wine, allow yourself to. But what you're not going to allow yourself to do is fall off track for the whole weekend, have a big fry up, have a takeaway Saturday night, la di la di la di la, until you feel like absolute rubbish on Sunday night and you're like, right, I'm going to go again at 5 a.m. on Monday. No, consistency over chaos. If you've missed your workouts Monday to Friday, it's fine. Go Saturday, Sunday. If you've missed your workouts, if you've missed eating well Monday to Friday, it's fine. Get back on track on Saturday and Sunday and take back control where you can. Stop thinking you need to be perfect 100% of the time, because in this career, you are not going to be perfect 100% of the time. Like I've said before, I'll say it and say it again. It's a bloody hard job. So you need to pull away at some point and notice and recognize that you are doing amazing. And just because you've not been consistent every single week, it doesn't mean that you are going to be at that point where you're not seeing the results that you want to be. Okay, you can do it by just showing up, even if you are not perfect. And then finally, it's our healthy boundaries. I think this is a really hard one to navigate, especially if you're quite new to the career. Sometimes it's okay to say no, and sometimes it's okay to explain that you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and overworked. I think it's so easy for tasks to be put on teachers that are outside of your job description, that are outside of your payroll. And I think it's kind of brought on as like, this is an opportunity for you to have progression, which is absolutely fine. But you need to know what you can stand and what you can withstand. You need to know those boundaries. So you need to know when it's okay to be like, okay, maybe I will miss the odd workout here. But if that's happening every single week and you've not got any time in for you, you need to reassess that situation and understand what you can move around. Where can you ask for some support? Because asking support does not mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're struggling. It means that you're being sensible and you're stopping that burnout. And again, when we stop the burnout, we show up as a better version of us in the classroom. That's what we need to be doing. And finally, it's important to think about what's next after this training. I don't want you to go away from this training and just think, oh, I don't know what I've got from it. Like, I really hope there's been some actionable tips there. You've got two choices now. You can go and implement these things inside the classroom and start to see the results that you want to see in the gym. And obviously, summer is around the corner. We're getting there now. We're halfway through the academic year. We're on the downhill to the summer holidays. So it's your opportunity to take control so that you've got a realistic amount of time before the summer holidays are around to really achieve what you want to achieve. Or you can keep going back to those bad habits. But I promise you, if you start implementing these protocols, you will see the results. Now, if you want some more support and fitness around teaching life and, around seeing the results that you want to see, make sure you drop me a follow, because I put out content daily to help you navigate your health and fitness, your well-being around the teaching space. Over at Coach Chrissy on Instagram. You can also follow my YouTube here, which is just Chrissy Morris. And yeah, I'll catch you all on the next one.